The intention of the church on this day is to renew in a most solemn manner the mystery of the Last Supper. For our Lord himself, on this occasion of the institution of the Blessed Sacrament, said to his disciples, "Do this in memory of me." So they all gathered together in the upper room where the Paschal lamb was supposed to be eaten. After eating, Jesus utters these words, which caused great consternation among the disciples. He said, "I say to you that one of you is about to betray me." Then after that, the legal supper is over, only to be followed by a second repast, which again brings the disciples around Jesus. So at this Last Supper, we had three different gatherings around Jesus. These two, the first one when they eat the lamb that was cooked for this occasion, and then one second one when Jesus gathers with them. Then after that, Jesus is about to fulfill the promise he had made before. One time, he said to the people, "I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eats this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh for the life of the world. My flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed." So the time to fulfill this promise has come at this very moment. But as it was both his flesh and his blood that he promised us, he waited until the time of his sacrifice. So his passion has begun. He is sold to his enemies. His life is already in their hands. He may at once, therefore, offer himself in sacrifice and give to his disciples the very flesh and blood of the victim. Then, after these two little dinners, after that he washes the feet of his disciples, as it was the custom, to wash one's feet before taking part in the feast. So Jesus is about to invite his disciples to a divine banquet, and so he washes their feet. After this, he takes a piece of unleavened bread, he raises his eyes to heaven, blesses the bread, breaks it, and gives it to his disciples, saying, "Take this and eat. It is my body." The apostles take the bread, which is now changed into the body of their divine master, and he does the same thing with his blood. But then Judas, who was present, also takes Holy Communion at that moment, and he does it in the state of mortal sin. And by doing that, he eats and drinks his own condemnation, which is the same thing that happens to people who receive Holy Communion in the state of mortal sin every Sunday. And the Gospel says that at that very moment, Satan entered into him. He then leaves the room and sets about the perpetration of his crime. Such is the history of the Last Supper, of which we celebrate the anniversary on this day. But then the institution of the Holy Eucharist, both as a sacrifice and as a sacrament, is followed by another, the institution of the sacred priesthood. Because how could he ever say, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man, without establishing upon earth a ministry whereby he would renew, even to the end of time, the great mystery he thus commands us to receive. So he tells them, do this in memory of me. And by these words, he gives them power to change the bread into his body and the wine into his blood. So Jesus will continue to operate by the ministry of mortal and sinful men, the mystery of the Last Supper, by thus enriching his church with the one and perpetual sacrifice.